Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for this special press briefing related to Jackson Water. There are several customers in South Jackson that have been challenged with low or no water pressure due to challenges within our well system. As I have reiterated time and time again, while we have had residents with water and without boil water notice within the last couple of weeks, I have continued to reiterate that I believe that the city of Jackson is still in the midst of a crisis because our aged infrastructure of our legacy city, until it is addressed, until we can comprehensively and effectively address it with the appropriate resources to accomplish that feat, we will continue to fight with this system. I'd like to commend, first and foremost, I'd like to commend our Public Works Department that is on the job and working diligently to solve this challenge. And I'd like to thank our residents for their patience once again. We know how difficult it is. We know what a sacrifice and challenge it is to go without water, not only for drinking, but for bathing and for sanitary purposes. And so our hearts go out to those residents. We will have efforts to deliver water in the midst of these repairs. And I'd like to ask if Dr. Williams will come forward to share some details related to this particular challenge. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. So as of this morning, the city of Jackson currently has 4 wells that are operating, and we have a total of 6. Those 2 wells that are currently offline are TV Road and Siwell Rd. Siwell Rd is one of our larger wells, and we are concentrating our efforts right now on that repair, and then we will move on to TV Road. Right now, we're basically assessing the situation while the contractor is on site and starting to break the well down to determine the actual cause of that failure. We hope to have some information available tomorrow, hopefully by noon. We also anticipate having a mitigation plan in place that we can quickly make the repair in order to have water restored to that area off of Siwell Rd by Friday. And that will be the best case scenario. And then we'll move to TV Road. Areas that are currently affected by low water pressure and some areas with no water pressure depending on the elevation are obviously around the TV Road area, Maddox Road, Highway 18, Willowwood, Cedar Hills area, and by Siwell Road going into Byram, Spring Ridge Road, and Gary Road, some areas of Siwell Road, Terry Road, southern end going into Byram. Those areas right now are probably experiencing low water pressure, and this will continue to fluctuate over the next 2 days while we make the repair to the Siwell Rd well system. We will also be expanding our boil water notice to include that area around Siwell Road. That should be coming out hopefully by this evening, and so we'll have probably another 1,000 connections that that will be affected by that boil water notice. We continue to ask for your patience. We also continue to ask our residents who are on the well system that may not currently be affected or still may have low water pressure. We ask them to conserve water over the next 2 days and probably into the weekend too. We have been blessed that the weather has been cool, and so there has not been a tremendous strain on our system as we saw in September of 2020 when we had both wells go down at that particular time. But we're working expeditiously to get Siwell Rd back in service before the weather does get hot and we have more of a strain on the system. But once again, we just ask for continued patience from our residents. Also ask for them to conserve water over the next couple of days in efforts to lessen the demand on the system. And if they have any questions or concerns, we ask them to contact our 311 system, especially if they have low water pressure or no water at all, so that we can properly deliver water to them. Thank you, Mayor.
So about what time frame would this be, I guess, resolved?
We anticipate hopefully by Friday. that we'll have Siwell Road back on, and then we will concentrate our efforts over to TB Road.
Mayor, you mentioned appropriate resources that needs to be found to fix this overall problem. What resources in specific would you point at the need?
Well, I mean, in recent weeks to months, we have spent a lot of time with the media talking about the needs of our water, drinking water system. We've authored a letter that went to the governor, that the lieutenant governor, that the state legislature saw, which listed and outlined several repairs that we felt needed to be made. And we said that that was not an exhaustive list, but that was a low-hanging fruit list. I've talked about Jackson's comprehensive infrastructure challenge. I've said that Jackson has about a $2 billion infrastructure problem in totality, and that is a conservative estimate. I've given the numbers as to how I arrive at that conservative estimate. The EPA has told us that we have $1 billion worth of a wastewater challenge. That's before we get to drinking water. That's before we get to storm water. That's before we get to roads and bridges. And so that is at best a conservative estimate as to what our problem really looks like. We are looking at an infrastructure package to come from the federal government. And we have been a part of those conversations and those discussions. We know that Senator Wicker just had a bipartisan meeting with the president. And we are tuned in to the results of such meetings. And we want him, we want all of our U.S. delegation to know that Jackson is paying, heavy attention to the work that is taking place there. And so we want the federal government to meet us. We want the state government to meet us. I will share with you, based on the conversations that are taking place at this time, I have more optimism over the likelihood that we will receive some money to go towards our system. We just need to make certain that we have the appropriate amount of money to deal with this challenge. We have to understand that when water goes out, our water is not Democrat nor Republican. It's not political at all. Our water services men, women, children, elderly. It services the business community of our city. And we want to make certain that what we fund is in line with our values. And our values have to be aligned with providing sustainable resources to people, sustainable and equitable resources. I want the residents of South Jackson to know I, as mayor, recognize that they have had an increased burden while the entire city has been challenged with these water woes, that South Jackson has been getting the worst of it. That is based on the way that the system was designed, that they are the furthest place from the plan and at the highest elevation. And I want you to know that the city is investing. One of our recent council meetings, 2 meetings ago, we just voted to pay for a $7 million pipe that will better improve the pressure to South Jackson. $7 million is more than double what the state gave us once we put our $47 million allocation there. And so Jackson is putting their money, our money where our mouth is, but we need to be met. And I want our residents to know that we're sincere and serious about this challenge. I know that it's little consolation when you can't bathe. It's little consolation when you can't, flush your toilets to know that we're fighting. But the systems we have will be the systems we have until we have the resources to change that. And so that's what we're fighting for, are the resources to change that and deal with this. And so once again, I thank Dr. Williams for rising to the occasion, continuing to give us the best instruction and direction as we deal with these ongoing challenges.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, in the meantime, I guess for those residents in South Jackson, is there a place they can go and get potable or non-potable water?
Yes, there will be distribution.
4 p.m. today?
I'm going to let you come forward and share that.
Siwell Road Middle School today at 4 p.m. Siwell Road Middle School today at 4 p.m. There is a water distribution. I'll let you know if there's going to be more, but that's what we've got today. Okay.
And we will make certain that we deal with any contractors or anybody who can help provide more water if that is insufficient. And so we will be on top of it. The fortunate thing about this situation is that we don't have the weather compounding the challenge of water. Before, not only did people not have water, but we had no ability to get water into the city because the roads were closed due to the iced over conditions. And so we will be meeting our people where they are to provide water to them, okay?
Is there a ballpark estimate, I guess, of money that you're thinking the city may be able to receive from the meeting with the president? And if so, is it enough?
Yeah, there are some internal numbers being discussed. This would not be the appropriate time to talk about what we think those numbers are. But we know if I can, you know, on the back of an envelope, give you a $2 billion number of what our needs are, then we know that it needs to be significant and that there needs to be a substantial package from the federal government to support cities. Jackson being a relatively mid-sized to small city, if we can account for $2 billion on our own, then imagine where we are as a nation. And so this has been, you know, a problem that has been delayed for far too long. And we're seeing the results of that decision. Far too long we haven't been able to address this challenge. And now as these systems continue to age, people are left in the wake to deal with the consequences of it. And so we're going to continue to fight as a city. We're going to continue to get out there and provide water as this repair goes on. And we're going to support our Public Works Department as they try to get people back connected.
Spoke to many people in the community about their water bill and how frustrated they are with these issues, and they're still getting charged. Some of the bills still increasing. Just what word do you have to say to them?
Well, if they feel that there's an error in their bill, then I would encourage those people to call the water department that does adjustments each and every day. There was a batch of bills that did not get charged the month prior, and so one of the bills was double because it represented 2 months. I know that that situation took place. But comprehensively, what I would do to encourage residents is to let them know that we are doing a complete overhaul of our water billing system, right? That means that we are working to make sure that our residents have a new water meter, which will have a new software attached that receives the readings from those water meters. They can do real-time evaluations of their consumption. They can decide that they want to conserve on water if it is, you know, if the price is too high. It will give us an ability potentially, looking at potential technology that we might utilize to have sonar technology that tells us where leaks are occurring, and possibly we can turn to a proactive stance against breaks that take place as opposed to reacting when it takes place. And so all of this is happening. Simultaneously, what I would share with our residents that not only are we preparing and building a new system of reliability in that water billing process, we're also working with the legislation that the city of Jackson fought for in order to make common sense adjustments to people's bills, which was barred by the state constitution. And so that is recent law that is going into effect. We've met not only with the Public Service Commission. We will be working along with our Public Works Director to develop a process by which we deal with those bills. And so we're thinking about it comprehensively. Yes, we're fighting each and every day to make sure that people have water and we're restoring water. We're fighting every day to give reliability in the water billing process, right? And so we can't only fix the system, we have to give a path forward for our residents. And so that's what that legislation allows for us to do. It allows us to fix the system and give a path forward for those people that are most heavily burdened by the water woes in the city of Jackson over time. All right.
Dr. Williams, last question. I know you mentioned Friday is the best case scenario for the Siwell Rd.